The Wrong Warp. It's me, your host, Ketsu Ban. I'm going to listen to a little pre show as always to give everybody a chance to join in into the live. And I'm going to finish getting everything ready. So we'll hang out for just a little bit and then we'll get this show started. Wop, bop, bop, bop. Shoobity, shoobity, doobity, doobity, doobity. Woo! It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, you feel me? You feel me one time? That jazz music's so beautiful, you heard? You heard me? You feeling me? You feel me? Whoa, whoa. Wow, wow, wow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, baby. Woo! Be starting in just a few minutes. Woo! Unfortunately, I do have a great show coming up, though. I've got a bunch of good stuff. If you've been around the last couple weeks, I've been talking about this sort of stuff, trying to get my, I don't know how you say, like my groove back. How Ketsuban got his groove back.
In theaters this summer, how Ketsuban got his groove back.
It's like Mojo. Remember that Austin Powers movie where he like loses his mojo? I think maybe that's what's been going on, and everything will be all good now. Although, really, no one's complained to me at all about anything, to be honest with you. Except for some people, but all those people I've talked about on the show, so there's no... It's not like there's hidden complainers going on or anything. For the most part, everybody that I'm aware of is super happy with everything. So, let's see. Yeah, I got a bunch of good stuff to cover. Fuck. I need to look more into ego, though. I just love jazz. Sounds pretty good. Let's take a look into the ego. Alright, well, I think it's a better time as any to start this fucking show. Let me make sure I've got everything I need here today. Got some weed here. Yeah, I guess we'll just get stoned right at the top of the show. Everything will be good to go. Got some, yeah. We're just gonna go with it. Go with the vibe, go with the flow, see what happens. I'm cool with that. Although that's pretty much how I always do it, so there's really no need to announce it. It's all good. I think this 10-minute pre-show has been more than enough. Let's get the theme song pulled up here today. Oh yeah, we're gonna have good times today. Oh yes, we're gonna have good times and relax, and everything's gonna be all good. Boom, 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 boom. So I hope you're ready. You got your adventure boots on here today, because we're getting into some action here today on The Wrong Warp. So without further ado, I guess let's start this fucking show. Oh no, let's start this fucking show.
Speak my thoughts. I am very far away. I am all on my own. Take me to the promised land. Hold me there. I am very far away. I am all on my own. Take me to the promised land. Hold me there. I am very far away. I am all on my own. Take me to the promised land. Hold me there. Da 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 da.
Welcome to The Wrong Warp. Yay! It's me, your host, Ketsu Ban. As always, super glad to be here today. We've got kind of an unconventional show for you just in terms of timing. We're recording this show at 2 p.m. on Sunday, the 26th, I believe. Now remember that because the date's important. When I was getting my show notes and stuff yesterday, I shit you not, I ran into a video we're going to check out way later on in the show, a video that came out, I shit you not, on September 25th. So if I would have done the show last night, it would have been on the 7-year anniversary of this video. Very eerie stuff, man. I kind of wish I would have done it last night, but then at the same time, I don't really care. Got super dabbed out last night, and I passed out. I threw my responsibilities away to deal with tomorrow. And now it's tomorrow, it's today, we got to deal with it. We got to do the show, we got to relax. I've got some great stuff for you here today, I believe. I'm going to look into... we're going to revisit NPCs. It's been a while since we talked about the subject of NPCs, or non-playable characters. We're also going to go revisit something that happened back in the Holocaust days, around that era. Actually, to be precise, we're going to revisit something that took place in 1933. Everybody's favorite number around here on The Wrong Warp. And we're going to look into the Gabby case again, but I've truly got some good stuff for that. It's not, I don't really watch shows, but I'm willing to bet that all shows have mentioned this case and felt the need to give their take on it and stuff like that. Which to me is a tell. Something so widespread. I think I've said that a ton of times on past shows, but it really is a tell. So I'm sure everybody's already given you like a basic take on that, so we're not going to go there, but I'm going to give you a new take. Unless you talk to me every day. That's the thing. If you talk to me every day in the Discord and stuff like that, you probably know like everything that happens on every show before it happens almost, huh? No, not always. But you kind of get a leg up on the competition. So, if you love The Wrong Warp, if you want to get more of the show, join the Minus World over at buymeacoffee.com/thewrongwarp. There you're going to get half of the show. And if you've been enjoying the show for a while now, just know there's 50 hours and growing of this show that you haven't heard yet. bunch of stuff from the past, but then also every episode that comes out, pretty much, there is a Minus World counterpart for you to enjoy. And I always feel the need to make it clear that this is not a show where I'm trying to be the authority on truth or something like that. I think that's fucking cringe. This is just a show for you to enjoy. If you get stuff out of it, great. You know? So, I don't know. I just want to put the emphasis there that that's where the value is. The value is not, it's not like, I have all this info that you need to know, so join the Minus World so you can get this info. No, not at all. It's just the show you're already hearing. You will get twice as much of the show, so if you like it, you will obviously like that, right? It'll be good times. I will say that there's a lot of good shit in the Minus World, because pretty much everything that I'm even kind of skeptical about posting, I throw it in the Minus World. Also, we did an episode of the show. I haven't uploaded it yet, but it's going to go in there too. This guy named Christopher Frank. An episode with him. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you may have heard me play these clips and explained a little bit about when I went on somebody's DLive show and trolled them a little bit and stuff like that. We had him on the show. We had this guy, Chris Frank, on the show, and I shit you not, he's happy about it. He says that the world could use a little bit more of that type of bullying, and he says that it's changed his life. Overall, good episode. Good guy, even, I think. You know, he doesn't suck, which is more than I can say for some people. Some people have been on the show, even, who suck now. But Christopher Frank is not one of them. So that sounds like something that might interest you. And it was overall just a great episode. I intended on talking about trannies the whole time, but it didn't quite work out that way. But about halfway through the episode, I revealed to him who I really was, you know. And I was, oh my God. So go check that out. If you like the show, if you want to hear something genuinely good, a genuinely good episode. Also, another reason that episode has to go behind the paywall is because there's a lot of inappropriate stuff that went down to the point where it would probably get taken off of YouTube. So I'm going to have to upload it to some type of alternate source, like maybe BitChute or something. I stopped uploading the podcast videos to BitChute just because it sucks so much and because I can't embed it. I started embedding all the show videos at thewrongwarp.com a few episodes ago, just on the one page. And if I upload the episode we did a couple days ago, it's not going to work. It's going to get deleted for sure. So you got to go to the Minus World for that. But it was good. It was a great episode. Check him out. Christopher Frank TV, I believe, is his channel name on DLive. So without further ado, I'm kind of trying to decide where I wanted to start here. I think I'll start with this kayfabe stuff. Have you ever heard of this term, kayfabe? This is something that, to be honest with you, I want to get Alex Orion of Homewrecker Podcast on the show. I've talked to them a few times, and I've had Monique on the show by herself, but now I really want to get Alex on the show. I would have done that now, except I didn't get into this kayfabe stuff until like an hour from now, right before the show started. So I didn't want to hit him up and be like, hey, I'm doing a show. You want to hop on right now, right this second? It seems rude, and so I didn't do it. But I want to talk to him sometime soon about this because he is he is a former professional wrestler. He is the authority on pro wrestling when it comes to the Wrong War and when it comes to me. You know what I mean? I would trust him more than I would trust anybody else because I know that he knows a lot of the same stuff that I know. And yeah, you see what I'm saying. Good guy. But I want to have him on because this is wrestling stuff. So kayfabe. This is a term that I'm going to read to you. I mostly was into the professional wrestling stuff when I was kind of little, and I remember finding out that wrestling was kind of scripted. My reaction was to stop watching it. I'll just be honest and tell you that. But it's because I was a kid. I was a kid when somebody told me that wrestling was fake, so I looked into that, and then I went, oh my God, I've been fucking duped. I did not, as a young kid, you don't realize, oh, well, I could still enjoy this just without believing that it's all real. It's still pretty much the same amount of entertainment value. But as a kid, and I think it was also like my older brothers at the time influenced me and stuff, and they were all pissed when they found out that wrestling was fake, and they stopped watching it. I feel like it's happened to a lot of people. But this term kayfabe, really interesting to me. I was only looking at this earlier for pretty much no reason, like on a whim. And I read this just pretty much one sentence. I've got a couple definitions pulled up. One is the Wikipedia for kayfabe. The other one is ewrestling.fandom.com. So if you've never heard of this word, I'm about to read you some definitions. From my understanding, I'm not super familiar with the word kayfabe. I just learned it. But from my understanding, I think it's just referring to that scriptedness of stuff. Right? So straight from the Wikipedia article, and it's in, I think, this very first paragraph, the sentence that I ran into. So when we get there, I'll stop and we'll talk about it. In professional wrestling, kayfabe, also called work or worked as a noun, is the portrayal of staged events within the industry as real or true. Specifically the portrayal of competition, rivalries, and relationships between participants as being genuine and not staged. The term kayfabe has evolved to also become a code word of sorts for maintain... Oh, this was the sentence. Fuck. The sentence I'm about to read is the sentence that kind of grabbed me. The term kayfabe has evolved to also become a code word of sorts for maintaining this reality within the direct or indirect presence of the general public. Now, that's really interesting to me. I'll read it really fast. The term kayfabe has evolved to become a code word of sorts for maintaining this reality within the direct or indirect presence of the general public. So, from what I understand that to mean, is that, that's almost like an admittance that reality's fake, even, right? It's evolved to become a code word for maintaining this reality within the direct or indirect presence of the general public. So, just from that definition there, it's more than just staged events. Kayfabe would be, as a noun, it would be the portrayal of stage events where they're trying to convince you it's true. Now that's versus like you go watch a movie. You go watch a movie, you know that it's a movie. Nobody's telling you that it's real. Unless it's a horror movie and they're trying to scare you and shit. And if you fall for that, then you probably deserve it. But it's that as opposed to like a movie or a play or a song or a fucking comedy story. I don't know. But stuff where you're not supposed to believe it's true. It's just funny. Versus the wrestling thing where if you were to ask them, is this real? They would say yes, absolutely real. And to be fair, well, of course they are. If you're suspending people's disbelief, why would you just admit that it's fake? It probably wouldn't do a very good job if you just admitted that it was fake. So, of course, that's what's going to go down. Just to carry on here, kayfabe in the United States is often seen as the suspension of disbelief that is used to create the non-wrestling aspects of promotion, such as feuds, angles, and gimmicks, in a manner similar to other forms of physical entertainment. In relative terms, a wrestler breaking kayfabe during a show would be likened to an actor breaking character on camera. Also, since wrestling is performed in front of a live audience whose interaction with the show is crucial to its success, kayfabe can be compared to the fourth wall in acting. Whoo! I didn't know that was there, but I'm not mad about it. I'm super happy because this has taken me to a place where I've wanted to go on the show for a while and just haven't quite figured out how. So it says the live audience in wrestling is crucial to the success of the wrestling match, right? And then it says kayfabe can be compared to the fourth wall in acting. Whoo! Now this is good. This is a place I wanted to go for a long ass time. The fourth wall. Have you ever heard of this term? The fourth wall. I remember first hearing this term, I think I was still in high school, to be honest with you, and it made sense to me and I understood it. There was no confusion. But I don't think I grasped it on a heavy spiritual level. I also didn't have a decade of fucking consuming psychedelics under my belt yet, you know? So as a kid, when you learn stuff, you're learning almost like a surface level version of it, because as a kid, you don't necessarily have as much of a capacity for understanding. You know, that's why you can't just tell children stuff and then they just get it and they know how to be and everything. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to show them and let them get the life experience. Then when they learn it, they'll understand it and grasp it. Long story short, now, looking into this now, it's different. It's actually the same, but it means something different than what it meant to me as a kid. As a kid, breaking the fourth wall, all that meant to me was like Deadpool. That's it. You know, it's just Deadpool. It's when the character looks at the camera and they know that they're in a show. It's when they breaking the fourth wall. That's the term. That's what I need to look into. Fourth wall is an article, but I need breaking the fourth wall. That's a good one. So to break the fourth wall would be to look, it'd be like a character in a movie or a play or a book or something that just looked directly into the camera and said something to the audience. Traditionally in fiction, no one's addressing the audience, and that's the fourth wall. Now, what I didn't grasp as a kid, I thought, oh, there's all these literary terms or whatever. There's just a bunch of terms that I don't understand and I don't need to. So the first wall's got to be a thing, the second wall is a thing, the third wall is a thing. No, they are not. They're there, and I'm about to explain it to you, but it's not what I thought it was. So breaking the fourth wall. What this means is, imagine you are on the set of a TV show while it's being filmed, and you're standing right next to the director of the show. So the actors who are acting in the film are going to be on a set, and the set is going to have 3 or 4 walls, depending on how you look at it. So that's, imagine a TV show, right? There's the actors, and then directly behind the actors, there's a wall. You know, I mean, I guess unless they're outside or something, but I guess for the all intents and purposes here, let's just assume this is an indoors, like we're in a room or something. So you look at the actors, there's a wall behind them. That's wall number 1. And remember, you're standing right next to the director. So you see the wall behind them, that's 1. And then to their left, there's a wall. And then to the right, there's a wall. So there are 3 walls. The fourth wall, there is no fourth wall because it's us. The viewer / the creators, they are seeing through what would have been the fourth wall. So hence the term breaking the fourth wall. It'd be like if Daffy Duck just looked at the camera and was like, I'm in a cartoon. I'm pretty sure that's happened before even. But this is not a new thing. This is a common trope. It's, you know, been around for a long time. But Deadpool, that's all I got from this. When I learned about breaking the fourth wall as a kid, I saw Deadpool and I thought, wow, so cool. You know, and I thought, well, that's probably got to be the coolest version of breaking the fourth wall that exists. Just because he's saying cuss words and, you know, he liked tits and stuff like that. So it was like, oh, this is relatable. But I didn't fully understand it. Now, as an adult, I guess I'm not claiming to fully understand anything, but it has more of a use to me now. now I almost see the wrong warp as a form of breaking the fourth wall. Or at least that's kind of what I want it to be. Like when we come here, we talk about how we are in a show, pretty much. You know? And you get hung up on words all you want and say, oh, it's not a show. But it's pretty much a show. If it's not a show, whatever it is, you could probably use the word show and it makes sense, right? But we're in a thing. And I remember tripping, it wasn't the last time I tripped, but probably 1 to 2 times before that. I just had this reassuring feeling. Like, yeah, I was right. I wasn't wrong before. It's almost like between times of taking LSD, self-doubt would accumulate. And then when I would take it again, all the self-doubt would go away. Until I got to a point where it just kind of stays that way. The good way. So, you know, my self-doubt had accumulated, and then I tripped again. And during this trip, when the self-doubt went away, I just remember thinking, yeah, we're in a thing. A thing meaning I don't have the right word for it. And I'm scared to say the wrong word because that might turn some people away. So we're in a thing. Something's happening. Something's going on. This is for sure. Right? The idea, whatever idea that's being presented to us that's going on is wrong. And by that, I mean the idea that we are this organic matter and we were just born, bloop, we were just born into this fantastic world and we should be lucky and grateful for all the great science and technology that this world has. You know, it's like, I wish I had better terms for these things, but we're in a thing. Whether it's a show, a movie, a book, a farm, an experiment, whether we are God or we could be the devil. You know what I mean? Regardless. And I say that, put it in those vague terms because I want to be talking to everybody who can relate to that. The idea that we're in something and we don't know what it is. Because that's all that I truly know. That's all that I'm sure of. Just like the fucking shape of the earth thing. And we actually talked about this at the end of the Chris Frank episode that'll be in the Minus World. The shape of the earth thing, meaning that his answer was exactly the same as what my answer would have been if somebody asked me. I asked him what he thought about the shape of the earth, and he goes, well, long story short, it's not round. Regardless of what it is, whether it's flat, this, that, whatever, the only thing that I'm pretty sure of is that it's not a globe. The only thing I'm pretty sure of is that it is not as it is being presented to us. And that's all we know, dude. That's all I know. So the fourth wall thing. All I know, well, I know a lot of stuff, but all I know for sure that most people deny is that we're in a thing. We definitely are. And it seems like it would be so hard to cover that up, but it wouldn't. It would be easy. Especially over generations. Because all it takes is for somebody to have a kid and then live out the rest of their life taking care of that kid, you know, to start a generation of something happening. This leads me to think that if there is some type of God, I mean, there has to be a creator. The only thing that's up in the air for me is, are we the creator? Am I a fragment of the creator like I think? Or is it something else? Is it I'm me and there also is a creator? I don't know. I really don't know. But I wonder if... I lost my train of thought. I just don't know what we're supposed to be doing here, right? But this fourth wall thing. So that's kind of my version of breaking the fourth wall, telling you that we are in a thing. But when you stay on that path for a while, because when you first kind of think about that, or when you first realize that that is true, when you by that, I don't mean when you first get the idea and you go and you talk to people about it and you do this and you do that. No, what I'm talking about is when you yourself first realize that that's true in your mind, and at that time, you're not going to really be talking about it to people because you don't want to look crazy, right? It seems like it would be horrifying, and maybe in some ways it is, realizing that we're in a thing and all the shit we're doing is based on lies. We still have to do it. That's the thing. We still have to do it. Just because it's based on lies doesn't mean we're getting out of it. You still got to go to work, motherfucker. But things are not as they seem. It seems scary to have that realization, but when you stick with the path and you truly do your best to follow your heart, it stops being scary. And at a certain point, you start picking up on patterns and you realize everything has to be okay. Regardless of how my story plays out, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna work out. There's really nothing to be scared of. I mean, think about what a batch of bullshit. Think about all the logical flaws when it comes to the idea of most traditional religions. Yeah. The idea of death. Like, if you listen to most traditional religions, any of them really, the idea of death. So, according to these religions, we were born here, and we're extremely lucky, or we're extremely blessed to have the opportunity to be born here, and we one day will die. Based on our behavior during the time when we were here, we're either going to go, and I want to use these as blanket terms, because I'm not just talking about traditional Christianity, I'm talking about anything. Whatever version of this it needs to be in a specific religion. So you die, and then based on your behavior, if you were a good boy, you go to heaven, and you just get infinite pleasures, infinite glory. That almost sounds satanic. The idea of heaven, that almost sounds kind of satanic. If you're a good boy, you get these infinite happiness and shit. But if you're a bad boy, you get the lake of fire, or whatever the equivalent is. Heaven versus hell. So you're born, you're either good or you're bad, and then you go to heaven or hell. That is an absurd idea. That's fucking crazy. To me. To me personally, that's crazy. There's no room there there's no margin for errors there. So to me, look into statistics, look into numbers and how they work and common trends. To me, if that were true, everybody would go to hell. Sorry, that's the truth, buddy. If it were true that after death, you have these two simple options of heaven or hell. If that were true, we would all go to hell based on numbers alone. What's the Hermetic principle? Oh, I can't remember what it is. Polarities or something. Essentially, the people who are painted in this country anyway, it's probably everywhere else the same too. But at least what I see in this country, the people who are made out to look like the biggest sacks of shit, a lot of times are good. And then the people who are made out the people who are made to look good, a lot of times are the worst people. Not just that they were made to look good, but they're bad. They're specifically are the worst fucking people. You see how that works. I really don't remember how I got here based on the fourth wall, to be honest with you. I looked up on my computer, and the fourth wall is what is still up here. Morgan in the chat says, yes, we are definitely breaking the wall. Colt says, I ask myself that question every day. What am I doing here? Yeah, I mean, I definitely wonder, what's my mission? What am I supposed to be fucking doing? I just want to do it. And then I remember that it's that Chinese finger trap thing. And I remember that that trying to figure out what you're supposed to do will always repel you. And just saying, fuck it, who cares? That's how you figure out what to do. In a nutshell, that's how this place seems to work. Seems like that to me anyway. Let's see, kayfabe. So I got the fourth wall from kayfabe. Let me skim through this Wikipedia page for the fourth wall real quick, because there's got to be some cool stuff in here. The fourth wall is a performance convention in which an invisible imagined wall separates actors from the audience. While the audience can see through this wall, the convention assumes the actors act as if they cannot. From the 16th century onward, the rise of illusionism in staging practices, which culminated into the realism and naturalism of the theater of the 19th century, led to the development of the fourth wall concept. That whole paragraph was pretty much useless, don't you think? I didn't learn anything from it. Let's see. Breaking the fourth wall is when this performance convention has been Breaking the fourth wall is when this performance convention have been adopted more generally in the drama is violated. That doesn't make much sense. God, I hate this. Let's see. There's some good examples of shit. Joseph Forte breaking the fourth wall to warn viewers at the end of Reefer Madness, 1930s. That sounds pretty good. Let's check that out. Reefer Madness fourth wall. Let's see if we can find this short clip. That might be pretty good. There's the entire Reefer Madness. Yeah, let's pull up Reefer Madness, and then I'll go to the very end. And there should be a guy who is talking directly to the camera. I mean, it's really like The Office, is what it's like. If you've seen the show The Office, you know, they're talking to the cameras and stuff. But this is what's so funny. In The Office, the premise is that they are filming a documentary for 10 years, which is way too long to film something. And so they're always talking to the camera, kind of breaking that fourth wall in that way. It's almost like a trick they found to pseudo break the fourth wall. I think The Office, the camera system and all that stuff, probably a pretty good metaphor for whatever the hell's going on down here, right? Let's see what we got here. There's a bunch of old guys. Okay, yeah. Cool. I found it. I found the clip. He's breaking the fourth wall. So if you've never seen Reefer Madness, it's a movie from 1936. It's black and white. It's really shitty. And the entire point of the movie was to make weed look bad. With the newest set of eyes that I have, I would say that this was probably on purpose. I think it's all on purpose. So who knows what the true meaning is. But the surface level point of this was to make weed look bad. So we're an hour and 7 minutes in. The first hour and 7 minutes of this was like a movie. You know, like a film with a script and everything. But we're starting in the last minute of the film here today. And we've got the guy looking at the camera. He's looking us right in the face. Let's hear what this motherfucker has to say.
Yes, that happened right here, to your neighbors. It is not too much to say that in your hands lies the possibility of averting other tragedies like it. We must work untiringly so that our children are obliged to learn the truth, because it is only through knowledge that we can safely protect them. Failing this, the next tragedy may be that of your daughter, or your son, or yours, or yours, or yours.
Oh! And then he points at us. Okay, so I was wrong initially. Most of that clip, he was talking to other people, still in the movie mode. But then at the very end, he points to the camera and he says, you know, he's like, it could happen to your kids, or yours, or yours. At the very end, he points to the camera and he says, or yours.
Reason why the request should not be granted.
Damn it. I don't want to go back that far.
Yes, that happened right here, to your neighbors. It is not too much to say that in your hands lies the possibility of averting other tragedies like it. We must work untiringly so that our children are obliged to learn the truth, because it is only through knowledge that we can safely protect them. Failing this, the next tragedy may be that of your daughter, or your son,
Here it comes.
or yours, or yours, or yours.
Now this is what's so funny. I gotta tell the audio listeners on that final "or yours," he points right at the screen. A bit like huge text pops up on the screen. It says, "Tell your children." Dear God, man. Oh my Jesus Christ in heaven. That is fucking absurd, man. Anyway, so that was one example. Kind of a one of the shittier examples out there, but that's okay. So the breaking the fourth wall stuff, this is stuff I always love. It's just hard to talk about sometimes, and only because of the wording, right? Let's see, on television, breaking the fourth wall has been done throughout the history of the medium. Fourth wall breakage is common in comedy-based programs, used frequently by Bugs Bunny and other characters in Looney Tunes and other animated series, as well as the live-action sketch comedy of Monty Python's Flying Circus, blah, 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 I don't care. So you get the point, you get the concept, you understand what it is. Still don't know how I got here from kayfabe. So, oh yeah, I see it, okay. Also, since wrestling is performed in front of a live audience whose interaction with the show is crucial to its success, kayfabe can be compared to the fourth wall in acting. Since hardly any conventional fourth wall exists to begin with, in general, everything in a professional wrestling show is to some extent scripted or kayfabe, even though at times it's portrayed as real life. Now, this is so interesting. If you were around, if you heard the show, one of the shows where it was me talking to Homewrecker Podcast, we actually, I think I clipped it and put it on my Instagram too, instagram.com/gatewaydrug. You can find it on there. We discussed wrestling being a great metaphor for life in a lot of ways. And to me, personally, a lot of that has to do with the kayfabe stuff. Just the idea that it's all a work and we got to keep it a scripted work. We discussed at one point in there, we watched, there's episodes of this show and Homewrecker Podcast where we watch wrestling matches. And in those, at some point, some guy got mad about something, and Alex Orion knew the story behind it. He remembered this event and stuff, and he told us that the guy was truly actually mad in that moment because the way that something went wrong, he could have actually gotten hurt because of that. And for a long time now, I've been trying to imagine that in my mind as a metaphor when it comes to whatever it is. Something's got to be watching and controlling us, right? And I'm beginning to, well, I've thought this for a while, but I don't know if it's human. I don't know if I can imagine a human being doing all this crazy stuff and orchestrating this stuff. I mean, this place that we exist in is put together by some type of master craftsman. And a lot of time, I don't know. I would say that how good this place is designed, it has to be one guy. At least to me, that's what it seems like. It seems much more like it's one guy who knows his own work, one guy setting this stuff up. Because if it was a bunch of people, it probably wouldn't work so seamlessly. It probably wouldn't be so fucking perfect, I don't think. Right? So, yeah, this is good stuff here, the kayfabe stuff. You get the point, though. Maybe I'll tuck this away and I'll try to save it. Let's save talking for very much more about kayfabe. And hopefully next week or this week or the week after that, hopefully sometime soon, I can have Alex Orion back on and me and him can go deep with this kayfabe stuff. Because I've been needing to have him on for a while now. Anyway, so I think this is a really good and great excuse to do so. So, moving on. Oh, that was fucking loud as shit. So, moving on with our show here today. The next thing that I've got here is... Damn, I've got a bunch of stuff, and I don't want to miss out. I've got all this crazy... Okay, we'll just try to go through some of this stuff. So, if you trust science, there are people in this... Probably most people are probably in defense of science. Most people in the world probably agree that when it comes to science, that scientists would be the authority on such a topic, right? And I mean, it makes sense to me. And this is actually something I briefly talked with Mayonnaise. He was a guest on the show. He's a rapper. He's really good. He's also a scientist. But me and him talked a little bit about this the first time I met him when we were talking about Bill Nye. That episode still exists. It's in the Minus World. It's from my first podcast called Ketsuban versus the World. But we talked a little bit about Bill Nye and how he is not, like, technically speaking, he's not even a scientist. By definition, Bill Nye is a technologist. But regardless of that, to me, when you say scientist, I get confused. Like, what makes a scientist a scientist? Mayonnaise had some pretty good points about how what defined a scientist to him. But to me, my understanding of what a scientist was, and I mean truly, I get it. I get they're science guys, they're fucking nerds and all this stuff. But from my understanding, my whole life, a scientist was just a guy whose job was to be a scientist. Like, you go get a job somewhere. Obviously, you go to college, and obviously you know what you're doing and stuff like that. But you go get a job for a corporation or company doing something science-related, obviously. To me, that's what made you a scientist, because that was your job. I used to, when I was way younger, trim trees as a job. Go and cut trees with a chainsaw and stuff. And technically speaking, at that time, that made me an arborist, right? An arborist. So to me, for a long time, that's just how it worked. I thought a scientist was someone who went to school and got degrees and stuff, and then they went and got a job as a scientist. And I thought that once they cease to work there, that they are not technically a scientist anymore at that time, at that moment. You know, but obviously if they were in between jobs and both jobs were scientist jobs, then I would have thought that the guy was a scientist in between. But why would that ever matter to anyone or anything? It wouldn't. Now a lot of that's true when it comes to normies. And now the larger portion of the audience that listens to this show, I don't think would be so trusting of science. And when you talk about this stuff, it can sound fucking crazy. It can sound fucking crazy to people who don't know how you mean things. But it turns a lot of people off when you say that scientists are bad. Now, like I said, a lot of people in this audience, they know what I mean. They know what I'm talking about here when I say that science is bad. It's in a sense kind of like doctors. Like, doctors get, I don't know what you'd call it, sponsored? Doctors get paid for certain things, and they are more inclined to they're more inclined to do certain things based on money. And if you don't understand that, and if you don't think that's true, you should look into it. Truly. Just don't be so fucking trusting of the world, right? The idea that we're just organic matter, and we were born, and now we're here. That's the same kind of thinking that, doctors just want what's best for me. They're just trying to help me because that's what their job is, right? Same as scientists. Scientists are only interested in the truth. They're just trying to figure out the truth because that's what their job is. Is it, though? Have you looked into this stuff yourself? I mean, science is like almost I'm going to tell you kind of my understanding of the way that scientists work anymore. And that's that, say I'm a bad guy. I own a corporation. I want to fucking, I don't know. What do the evil rich guys do even? They just want more money, right? So say I'm a bad guy, got a corporation, and I need, what would my company be? Dog treats. Okay, I'm a rich guy. I'm starting a dog treat company. I want to sell dog biscuits to pet stores and stuff like that. To give myself, as just part of the business even, right? I'm creating a product. I'm creating these dog biscuits. I need some type of scientific fact as a selling point for my dog biscuits. So what I would do to get that scientific fact, and this is how a lot of stuff works. Look into it. It's how a lot of stuff works. What I would do to get that scientific fact is I would hire a scientist or maybe a company or whatever you want to call it, but ultimately some version of a scientist. Now, to me, this is really what it seems like. They start with a premise or they start with a fact. So my dog biscuit company, I'm employing scientists, and their instructions are to prove that my dog biscuits are better than most other dog biscuits on the market right now. To prove that my dog biscuits are going to improve your dog's teeth by this much of a statistical margin, right? Things like that. But what you should take note of here is that the scientific fact is presented before there's any evidence to back it up. You're presented the thing, and then you figure out, well, how do I prove that and back it up? At least a lot of people I know got that backwards. And they think that scientists are out here, just doing wild experiments and trying to figure stuff out. And then they just happen to come to these certain conclusions. No, they're given the conclusions. And then their job is to prove the conclusions. In my mind, it makes perfect sense. In my mind, there's no confusion. All this shit is bought and paid for, whether it's doctors, scientists, or whatever. Now, don't get it too confused because you still got to go to the doctor for certain things. You still have to rely on science for certain things. But to me, it's much better to move with that understanding, to move with the understanding that these people are motivated by money. A lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of people will never understand that because they don't want to. A lot of people just don't want their bubble to get bursted, is the thing at the end of the day. But like I was talking about earlier, when you figure out that something's going on and it seems so bad and awful, no. It's actually the opposite. It's actually that things are good. It's actually that this is fucking sick. Whatever's going on, whatever thing we're in, it's pretty good right now. Times are great. To me, is how it feels. So it's not bad that we're in a thing. It's not this dark, evil conspiracy thing. No, things are good. You can do whatever you want. But I know a lot of conspiracy people, they do get painted in that light. The global elites, they're going to kill us, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. Well, a lot of that stuff is valid. Even if that were true, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Not a fucking thing. So what does it matter? Even if the truth were horrible. Okay, well, you could just, reframe it in your mind or something. Try to make it not horrible. Anything other than embracing the horribleness? I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. But things are good. Yeah, I just wanted to explain that sort of scientific process, or at least what it seems like to me, man. At least what it seems like to me. And the point of all this, where I'm going with this, is to tell you that people who think science is king, people who think science ultimately rules, and people who will shut you down or stop listening to you over that, If you trust science that much and you don't think you're going to be lied to that degree, then there's a 100% chance that you must have the same faith in politics. It's the same thing almost. To me, it's a perfect metaphor. If you trust all science, then you have to trust all politics. And if you don't, you're a liar about one of those things, right? That's what it fucking seems like to me. Free Fizzy in the chat says, Happy Sunday, Ketsu Band. Hope you smoke some good shit today. I'm smoking Platinum Jack and Wedding Cake right now. Hella good together. Fuck yeah, man. I've got some, these dabs I have right now. It's like Jack Herrera and Wedding Cake mixed, and it's pretty good. I haven't had, I don't think I've ever had a bad experience when it comes to wedding cake. Any kind of weed where the name has food in it, like cookies or cake, stuff like that. I don't think I've ever had a bad batch of weed when it's had food in the fucking name. Let me see how we're doing here. Oh, we're not that far in. Let's see. I'm going to tell you about some people whomst I hate. Some people whomst I despise. And these are people who, when I say this, it's going to seem like, well, of course. But, I don't know, your everyday run-of-the-mill person that I run into anyway, here in Oklahoma, they don't care. The people who I hate, because there's only a certain amount of archetypes. There's a finite number of archetypes, and you could just call that personalities. There's a finite number of personalities. And in a lot of these personalities, since cell phones have come out, I mean, it's been like fucking a couple decades with cell phones now, right? Since cell phones have come out, obviously everybody has phones all the time and blah, 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 blah. But there's a certain archetype of person. I know we've all met this archetype, but the last week or so, I've run into like 3 of them. And it disturbs me. It makes me want to murder them. Not that I ever would, of course. It makes me want to murder them metaphorically. It makes me want to murder them in a rap battle. So it's this type of person who, when they're looking at their phone, you walk up to them and say something to them, but they keep looking at their phone. Now, they eventually answer you. You know, maybe it takes 5 seconds. Maybe it takes 10 seconds. Maybe it takes 20 seconds. But eventually, they're aware that you're there. They've made it clear to you that they know you're there. But they're not going to look away from the phone. They're going to keep looking at the phone for about an extra 10 seconds after you've started talking to them. And then they're going to look up at you and go, what? Do what? Oh, I fucking hate these people, dude. And I call it an archetype because it is. The people who do that, they like keep doing it. Every time I talk to them, they look down at their phone. And then 10 seconds later, oh, do what? Every fucking time. To me, I would be embarrassed. If someone talked to me and I didn't immediately look up while someone's right in front of me, I would be embarrassed. I'd be like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't know you were there. Because, I don't know. To me, I think it's rude as a human being. You know, because I clearly don't give a fuck about being rude. About people being rude to me or you or them or one another. Who gives a fuck? But it's almost like this weird kind of insult when you walk up to somebody and they won't even look at you until they're done doing whatever they're doing on the phone. And it really is an archetype. It really is an archetype where they always do that. I've noticed, though, with these people that they are not bad, right? These people aren't the rude ones. They're not doing it on purpose to be a dick, at least I don't think, but rather they just can't help it. So to me, I'm like, what is that? Is there a delay? Is there truly a delay in the brain where you didn't realize that I have approached you, right? I don't know. I just wanted to get off my chest. It really disturbs me when people do this. Let's see. And finally, before we get to all this major stuff, I got one more little tidbit for you here today. Some people come for the major stuff. Some people come for the little tidbits. So you want NPCs to maintain this place. You understand this? The place that we live in is fucking maintained by NPCs. That's a fact, right? You like having the option to walk out of your house right now, get in your car, drive to a store, and buy something. You like that, right? I mean, I think most people don't even consider that a luxury anymore. Most people, that's the baseline, you know? And if I can't just go get in the car, go do whatever the fuck I want, then something's wrong. Well, in order to be able to just go get in your car and drive to the store and buy something, a lot of stuff has to be in place. Do you understand this? Multiple industries have to be properly working, right? So like, what's the first one? So you leave here, you go get in your car. So to be able to go get in your car, you need fucking what? You need the car to exist. So you need whoever built the car to have existed. And in order for them to exist, you need all other cars that have ever existed for it to be able to get to that point. And in order for the cars to exist, then we have to have things like gas. We have to have things like all the parts that it took to make the car. You see where I'm going with this? You trace it back, we need everything to have anything. So you need that for your car. But you go get in your car and drive to the store. Fuck! You need the store to be there. So assuming the store is there, that's like somebody started a business a long time ago. Whether you're going to a big corporation store, or whether you're going to a mom and pop shop. Somebody had to have started a business a long time ago, or I don't know, it could be new, but someone had to start a business and be maintaining it this whole time, right? But you see where I'm going with this? You need all these things to be in place in order for you to do whatever the fuck you're doing. In order for you to enjoy the life that you're living and for things to keep going, you need these things to be in place. So, and these are some of the reasons why I think we're inside of a good thing. Things are good. It's not bad. Right? And when you see things like, the government's so corrupt and all this stuff, yes, I agree. Yes, it is. But I don't really care. That's like the secret at the end of the day. This is how I am. I can't claim that this is how you should be too, but this is how I am. At the end of the day, the only things that matter to you should be the things that matter. So for me, it's like my family, right? My family is what matters to me. So as long as my family's all good and everything's in working order, everything's great, then I'm good. And I don't really care about much else. Now, it's quite possible that I'm a sociopath. This is people have told me this multiple times in my life. But as long as the things that I care about are working and everything's good and on the up and up, I don't care about the other stuff. You see a news story about something terrible going on. Does it affect me? If the answer is no, I don't fucking care. And so far in my life, I think there's been almost zero that's really affected me. And the stuff that has affected me, I could have chosen to not do. I've gotten in arguments with people about this stuff before too, about news and politics, where I claim that it really doesn't affect me at all. You know, and then that makes people so mad. And they'll be like, oh, well, it's going to affect you when this is happening. Oh, well, it affects you like that. Well, maybe not, right? And when my answer after that is, no, it still doesn't, that makes people really fucking mad. But in order for a political thing to affect you, you must consent to something in some way. So, like, I don't know. But the major point here with this was that you need the NPCs to maintain this place. So, for example, I hate police. I'm not a fan of the police, just based off of the concept of them, with like the way taxes work and all this shit. So they don't make money unless I fuck up. Unless one of us is being ticketed for something or paying for something, they're not making any money. Except for taxes, I guess. But even then, that's my fucking money. Paying you, which I never asked for. So that's bad. But now, and I mean, fuck them. Fuck the police. I hate you. Now, all of that being said, well, I want them to exist. It would kind of suck if they didn't exist, right? So I'm torn there. How am I supposed to feel? I'm not a fan of them, but they are necessary sometimes. Oh, they're they are necessary in a lot of ways. You know? I don't know. Just because I personally don't like someone or something, that doesn't mean that it's worthless or bad. And I don't know. I just think people could benefit from realizing that everything is perfect. And I really do believe that. To be honest with you, I really do believe that everything is perfect. Everything's how it's supposed to be. There's not a whole lot of ways to talk about that don't sound corny as fuck. You know, when you're a kid, the whole, everything happens for a reason and all that. But it kind of does. And the fact that we're in a thing, that something's going on, well, everything would happen for a reason then. But the big takeaway from that, like I said, is just that everything's good. These are good things that are happening, right? So, moving on, I want to tell you about what Hitler did in 1933. Have you heard of this? You know what I'm talking about here? Hitler in 1933. So, there are a lot of things that you have to assume whenever you don't know the details of historical events, right? So, for example, Nazi Germany, the Holocaust. How did he have so much control? He's just one guy. He's just a guy. How did he get all this major authority? Was he elected? Was it passed down to him? Did he inherit it? Where did this authority come from? And why did I don't know what they are, soldiers, whoever the people were who physically was out there doing stuff, why would they listen to him? He's just some guy. Well, I am going to give you that story here today. I've got something to pull up, and we're going to talk about it here today. The biggest takeaway from this, going into it and coming out of it, is understanding that what I'm going to show you and talk about here today, which is how the process, how Hitler's process began, it, to me, reflects a lot of what is going on right now with the pandemic stuff. That doesn't change anything. I still think things are good and perfect. I don't think we need to worry or anything like that. But this is just something that I was like, whoa, holy fucking shit. And then on top of all of it, it's in 1933. That's the year that this stuff took place. But all this being said, we all know that I reject recorded history. That overall, as a whole, I don't trust it. I've found a few lies, but I've found enough lies that it doesn't seem like a pattern to me where the truth gets told. It seems like everything probably is kind of some type of half-truth or something similar like that, right? So that being said, don't take this too heavy, because it could all just pretty much be fucking fake.
It could all be a fabricated goddamn lie. So, and on top of all that, this is just from an article, man. So, all of this could be false. But the point is that this is part of the narrative. When I say it could be false, that means literally. That means false on the scale of the fourth wall thing. That's false in the sense that it's all false. So if we zoom in a little so that we're not so zoomed out, if we zoom in a little and kind of suspend disbelief enough to believe history again, now we're in the pocket. Now we're looking at history, at least as it is accepted and recorded, the standardized version of history here today. So the title of this article says, Ex-Nazi Testimony Sparks Fresh Mystery Over 1933 Reichstag Fire. A newly discovered witness account by an ex-Nazi officer has been cast fresh doubt Nazi officer has cast fresh doubt on claims a Dutch communist was behind the 1933 Reichstag fire. The blaze was used by the Nazis to crack down on their opponents. The fire, look into this for a second. The 1933 Reichstag fire. I'll pull this up and give you a brief summary. The Reichstag fire was an arson attack on the Reichstag building, home of the German parliament in Berlin, on Monday, February 27th, 1933, precisely 4 weeks after Adolf Hitler was sworn in as Chancellor of Germany. Okay, so to put it on a timeline, Hitler was sworn in as a Chancellor of Germany, and then exactly 1 month later, this fire took place. Let's just keep going with the article. Germany's RND newspaper group on Friday published a 1955 affidavit found in the archives of a hangover court. Damn it, I don't give a fuck about this. Blah, 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 blah. Van der Lubbe, that's the guy's name, could not possibly have been the arsonist. Lennings, who died in 1962, further states in his account that he and his colleagues protested against the arrest of Van der Lubbe. So, the 1933 Reichstag fire, they blamed a guy who didn't do it. That's the general consensus here right now. Historians are mixed on who started the Reichstag fire. Most agree that Van der Lubbe acted alone, while some have accused senior Nazi figures of deliberately starting the fire to justify a crackdown on their opponents. So, I guess you gotta believe my way of thinking here for a little bit for this to work, but that's just that when I read stuff like this, it paints a picture for me. And the way that I think is kind of in patterns, and this picture gets painted by my brain while I'm reading this article, and it gets compared to other shit that I've seen. And, well, I don't know, when I see rumors like this, that's really all I need. I don't need more than that. But this, so let's assume that this article didn't exist. So there's a fire in 1933 that just some guy named Van der Lubbe, they're saying just some guy started a fire, and then he went to jail. But they used this, Hitler and his army used that fire as an excuse to do as an excuse to tighten the grip on everything. Kind of like we are with the COVID stuff. Let me do a Google search. Hitler used fire. Damn it. Hitler used fire excuse. That should pull something good up for me, right? The day after the fire, the Reichstag fire decree was passed. The Nazi Party used the fire as a pretext to claim that communists were plotting against the German government, which made the fire pivotal which made the fire pivotal in the establishment of Nazi Germany. So, regardless of whether or not it was just some guy or if Hitler and the Nazis started that fire played probably the biggest role in Germany becoming Nazi Germany. You see, it's manufactured consent. Just as here in America, we have all these fake shootings so that we can impose gun control. This is what I don't understand. Even without conspiracy stuff, like, you don't have to be into conspiracy, spirituality, or anything to consider the idea in your head that all these school shootings and other shootings are fake, and then they're cracking down on gun control to disarm a population. How can you not see that sort of rhetoric in your head? Whether or not you believe it, whether or not you care. How can you not see how that works? You know that the government is shady, and if you don't know that, you're just in denial, or you're a redneck. I don't know. Either way, the shootings and the gun control thing is obvious to me, and that's just one version of manufactured consent. They're manufacturing your consent for gun control. You're consenting to having your guns taken away because you don't want there to be any more school shootings. But also, it's deemed offensive to have the thought that the shooting could be fake, or that anything at all could possibly ever fucking be fake.
China.
Basically anything that they teach you is offensive to question. That's where to look. That's exactly where to look. Look right there. Look no further. You have found what you're looking for when you're being told that something is too offensive to consider. So, yeah, pretty fucking wild stuff, man. Let's see. I think there was a slide in this little slideshow that I wanted to use, but now I'm on the wrong fucking slideshow. Let's see. Glass Dome. The Reichstag. Oh, I guess I can put this up on the screen here. It's probably not that great, though. Open image, a new tab. Okay. The Reichstag Dome, I think was built like in honor of that Reichstag fire or something like that. So it's a dome. It's a gigantic dome. And then at the center and the bottom of the dome is like this blue planet looking thing. Some people have said that this is a nod to domed Earth, or just the idea that the Earth has a dome. There's something else though. Reichstag lawn. That's like some weird Masonic dice shit. No, I guess that's up for these slides. Anyway, okay, so I think the Reichstag fire thing is a great metaphor. It's a great way to understand or get some type of clue with these patterns. Because governments, I guess I'll just call it the world government. The world government has really shitty patterns. And the world government could be considered the shadow government, whatever you want to call it. Probably what most people call the elites. It could be one guy. It could be a whole planet of aliens. Who knows? But whoever's doing things here to us, whoever that is, they work in patterns. It's almost like a signature. They always use the same patterns. They always have to show you stuff to manufacture your consent. And I personally, I don't believe history or time. But obviously, if history and time are true, well, times haven't really changed, have they? Things are kind of still the same as they were in a lot of ways. Things are the same as they always have been, it seems like, right? Let's see. So to cruise over to our big event here today is this Gabby, IPEC Goats, George Bush thing here today on The Wrong Warp. So to preface this, I'm going to find the right video that I'm looking for. To preface this, George Bush, we talked about this, I believe, on the 9/11 episode briefly, but I'm not entirely sure. So George Bush, when the Twin Towers fell, was reading a book to some school children were reading a reading exercise out of a book, and the exercise was called The Pet Goat, right? Now, there are some similarities that we're going to get to of between the Gabby Peteo. If you're unfamiliar with that case, I can't catch you up on it. You got to look into it on your own. It's a bunch of stupid horse shit. But there's some similarities that we're going to get to between these things, between 9/11 and the Gabby Peteo thing. But first, I've got this video. This is allegedly the video, the one true video of George Bush on 9/11. It's just a couple minutes long. Actually, this is from Fahrenheit 9/11. Do you remember this? Fahrenheit 9/11. That was a movie that came out shortly after 9/11. I don't know. It might have been 7 or 8 years later. But it was one of the first big conspiracy documentaries that I ever saw. This is actually from that documentary. It's just 2 or 3 minutes taken from it. But we're going to see a clip here of George Bush in that moment, which to me, why would we have this footage? Why the fuck would they be recording this? George Bush going in and talking to school children? For what? There's no reason to record this. But we'll watch this really quick, and then we will make some great connections, and we'll go from there. Essentially, it's going to keep building and building until it gets to this crazy point. Crazy, kind of anticlimactic, but it's worth it. Trust me. Trust me, it's worth it. Let's take a look here today on The Wrong Warp. Remember, this is from a movie called Fahrenheit 9/11 by Michael Moore. And I, by no means, am attaching myself to this movie. It could be all bullshit. This movie could be the bad guys trying to trick us again. Who knows? So, don't think I'm claiming this is the authority on what's going on, but it's a great video. And it shows the accepted narrative's version of what George Bush was doing as the towers fell. Remember, reading a book or hearing a reading exercise called The Pet Goat.
Mr. Bush was on his way to an elementary school in Florida. When informed of the first plane hitting the World Trade Center, where terrorists had struck just 8 years prior, Mr. Bush decided to go ahead with his photo opportunity.
Read this word the fast way. Get ready. Mad. Yes, mad. Get ready. Mad.
Yeah.
Okay, get ready to read the words on.
Now, if you're new to the show, I'll explain this, I guess. I hear music. Every time you look at stuff on the show, conspiracy videos and stuff, I always point out and I always hate the dramatic music. And I've considered it for a while now to be a tell on whether or not something's fake. I think that this gets a pass simply because this is an excerpt from a documentary. So the documentary had music, but I still get pretty weary when I hear emotional music playing behind stuff trying to convince you of something.
On this page without making a mistake.
When the second plane hit the tower, his chief of staff entered the classroom and told Mr. Bush, "The nation is under attack." Not knowing what to do, with no one telling him what to do, and no Secret Service rushing in to take him to safety, Mr. Bush just sat there.
I think the real angle here, because like I said, this movie came out a long time ago. I think the real angle in this is like they're trying to make him look like he just sat there like an asshole or something.
And continued to read My Pet Goat with the children.
Morgan points out in the chat, again, yeah, why would they record
Nearly
this?
7 minutes
For what?
passed with nobody doing anything.
Why are they recording? Oh shit. Why are they recording like reaction shots of people's faces in the room? Think about it. That's what we saw just not 1 second ago. Like right here. Why would they be recording these other guys? Right? For what?
As Bush sat in that Florida classroom, was he wondering if maybe he should have shown up to work more often? Should he have held at least one meeting since taking office to discuss the threat of terrorism with his head of counterterrorism?
And I think he's about to say, no, he just wanted to play golf. And that almost reflects and mimics Trump. Like in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I've seen that a bunch, where Trump's supposed to be doing stuff, but he's just playing golf. And it's exactly the same as the Bush thing.
Or maybe Mr. Bush was wondering why he had cut terrorism funding from the FBI. Or perhaps he just should have read the security briefing that was given to him on August 6, 2001, which said that Osama bin Laden was planning to attack America by hijacking airplanes. But maybe he wasn't worried about the terrorist threat because the title of the report was too vague.
I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States.
A report like that might make some men jump. But as in days past, George W. just went fishing. As the minutes went by, George Bush continued to sit in the classroom. Was he thinking, I've been hanging out with the wrong crowd? Which one of them screwed me? Was it the guy my daddy's friends delivered a lot of weapons to? Was it that group of religious fundamentalists who visited my state when I was governor? Or was it the Saudis? Damn, it was them. I think I better blame it on this guy.
Okay, well, you get the point. I don't know why I played this for so long anyway. But the only point of this, well, I guess there was another point, and that was just that why are they fucking filming this? But the bigger point here is my pet goat. That's the takeaway. My pet goat during 9/11, right? So the Gabby Pateo thing, it's like an anagram. Let me look that up just so I don't fucking butcher it. Gabby Pateo anagram pet goat. See what comes up here. Not a lot of good matches from my search. That's what's interesting, though, dude. So I just Googled that. I Googled Gabby Pateo anagram pet goat, and nothing comes up. Oh, yeah, I guess there's a YouTube video that I don't really want to watch. But you think what would come up would be either a bunch of conspiracy stuff or it would be a... Oh, no,
Dang,
shut up.
dude, it's so dark out here, you can't even see my...
You would think it'd be a bunch of conspiracy stuff, or it would be a bunch of fact-checking type stuff saying, don't worry, that's not true. There's nothing to worry about. But I guess we'll give it a chance for just a second, because this bullshit auto-played. Let's see what this guy says.
Anyway, man, I noticed, man, a lot of people are getting in on this Abby Edio thing, man. The Abby Patio.
Nope, we're done with him. Okay, that sucked ass. I'm just trying to understand the anagram here. Gabby Pateo, I pet goat. Is that all it is? It's just an anagram for that? Gabby Pateo. Let me just look. I-P-E-T, goat. Can't spell that with that. I don't know. I don't fully understand this, to be honest with you. Which would make me say, well, why are you the one doing the show? But anyway, so there's an anagram thing. There's a connection there. Mostly, it's all I need. I don't need the anagram is why I don't care that much. I never understood that part. What I understood is what I'm going to show you here. Morgan says, oh my God, yes. Oh no, that's her other comment. Colt says, the brain laundry thing was gold. Yeah. So the guy, her boyfriend's name was, I forget, it was like Brian Lawtree or some shit like that. And it was like brainwashing, more or less. I don't remember if there was an anagram there or what the deal was, but it was basically like brainwashing. Their names contained some clues. So now let us go to this photo here. In this photo, I believe the first person who showed it to me was this guy from Twitter named Matt. I think his Twitter name is Matt's Gotta Know. I believe this is where I first was pointed to this. Or it might have been this guy, Big Gus, that I'm retweeting. I don't know. Let's see here. So this is an image. So
there's a video that we're going to watch shortly called I Pet Goat 2, I believe. It might just be called Pet Goat 2. I don't know. But it's a movie, it's a video that we're going to watch. It's very fucking crazy and trippy. It came out in 2013. That is the big point. That is the big takeaway with this video, is that it came out in 2013. So we're looking at 8 years ago from right now. Right? So what I'm going to show you right now is an image. One of them is an image of Gabby. The other one is a still image taken from I Pet Goat 2, this video that we're going to watch shortly. If you're listening to the audio version, how do I describe this? Enhance, you piece of shit. Go to tweet. Okay, so if you're listening to the audio version, what we have here, we've got two pictures. One of them is CGI animated, and the other one is an actual photo of a person. And the one that is CGI animated looking, what we have is a white and black checkered board floor. We've got a white and black checkerboard floor, and then we've got a girl in a white dress holding an apple. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, and she's looking directly at the viewer. She's looking directly at that fourth wall. Behind her, there's a bunch of figures of guys that don't have faces. It's like a bunch of shadow people, I guess you could call it. Template people. Okay? Now we go to and that's from 2013. Now we go to this photo from real life, and it is, the background is like a butterfly. You know the traditional butterfly? When I say butterfly, I get like this real cliche image in my mind. I think it's a monarch is what it's called. So it's like a butterfly's wing in the background, but it is also black and white. There's some orange at the top, but more importantly, it's black and white. The whole background here is black and white. There's a girl with blonde hair. I'm not sure if her eyes are blue because she's kind of squinting. And she's holding this little pumpkin thing. It's like a crocheted pumpkin, I guess. I don't know. But it looks exactly like an apple. The stem really looks like an apple in this photo. But basically, they're doing the exact same pose here. And this goes into like that template type of stuff. Because this girl, obviously, we're all meant to look at together. It's obviously some type of ritual. To me, the Gabby Pateo stuff. And this video came out in 2013. I wonder why. I don't understand. I got a lot of fucking questions here. But I would say, with my best judgment, something's going on. There's something here with this Gabby stuff in this video. So I definitely know Matt from Twitter. Matt's got to know. Sent me the video. The video from 2013 called I Pet Goat 2, I believe it's called, and it's nonsense. It's not nonsense, but if you watched this in 2013, it would probably be nonsense.
As the attack took...
Shut the fuck up. You would probably think, wow, this is a bunch of stupid nonsense, right? But now it makes a lot of sense to me. Now my eyes have been opened. My eyes have been opened. Okay, I found the video. CGI 3D animated short I Pet Goat 2. And what's so interesting is that there is no I Pet Goat 1. From what I understand, this I Pet Goat 2 thing is a standalone. It's a standalone thing by itself. It's not connected to anything. I believe what I was told is that and this is how I found out, is from, I watched this and then I asked somebody where the original one is. Where's number 1? And they said there is no number 1. The first one is the book that George Bush was reading when the towers fell. So that's where, assuming there is no crazy master plan and all this other shit, that's where the name came from, because it happened to be the name of the reading exercise, The Pet Goat. It's weird that they changed it to but I Pet Goat 2. Let's watch this video. It's kind of long. It's 7 minutes, but it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. I'll try not to pause too much. If I have to talk, I'll just turn the volume down. But very fucking occult, I would say this video is. Okay, I'll do my best for the audio listeners to describe the video. I'll try to describe what's going on in this video. Yeah, let's check it out. Here today on the wrong wharf. Spotlight. Damn it. So there's, yeah, and there's like no talking in this video. So there's a goat with a barcode on his head, sticking his head out of a wooden box with a barbed wire fence in front of him. And at the bottom, the title, it says, I Pet Goat 2. I Pet Goat 2. Now we've got what looks like George Bush in a dunce cap with a really stupid look on his face. Tap dancing in a classroom. This to me obviously is supposed to be the classroom that the kids were in and everything. It's got a Masonic checkerboard flooring. And George Bush's, animated George Bush is just like freaking out. Like he's tweaked. He's tweaking right now. George Bush just winked, and now Barack Obama. That's what's interesting. Was Barack Obama in office in 2013? I've paused it here because I found the still image from that picture that we just saw, but I never noticed until right now that between George Bush and this girl there was Barack Obama, President 2013. Was Barack president in 2013? Yeah, he was. That's really interesting. I wonder why. So my big question with this is this supposed to be where we are right now? Because from people that I've talked to who are like me, who've watched this video, they're looking at it like this is some kind of clue into the future. Like this is some kind of clue into whatever's coming or something. I don't know. But we just saw that image of Gabby not that long ago. I wonder if that was a super old photo of Gabby or if it was a newer one. But it just makes me wonder, is this where we are? Like on our timeline? So there was the September 11th stuff, which I guess was the beginning of the video because he was sitting in the classroom. And it goes from that to Barack Obama sitting in the classroom. And then it jumps right to this image here of this girl holding this apple. I didn't notice in the photo version on Twitter, but there also is barbed wire entangled into the shadow figures behind her. But let's continue on. Oh yeah, there is a climax. Now, there is a climax, kind of a climax in this video. So an apple just fell onto the ground and broke in half, and the seeds came out. To me, this represents like the masculine and the feminine, the left and the right. So an apple cracked in half. The seeds started growing branches. The seeds from the apple just start crazily growing. They grew together and have formed a lotus flower. To me, right off the bat, there's a Masonic checkerboard floor in the background. I don't know what this little white streak is, but the two sides of the apple, that's like left brain, right brain, masculine, feminine. And when you put them together, they make a lotus. That makes sense to me. But what is the context outside of that? Now it's Barack Obama. Oh yeah, this is where it starts to get pretty fucking trippy. So it's Barack Obama sitting in a classroom. The camera's zooming out. Everything is zooming out, and there's a bunch of snow. Zooming out, the church is connected to a school, and it looks like we're in Antarctica. This has to be Antarctica. And there's shit blowing up in the background. I don't know if that would be like your natural resources or something. Right here, we got a guy in a mask. Right here, they're zooming out. They appear to be in Antarctica. There's a guy on an iceberg thing in a mask dancing around.
To me, that's the pandemic. So in 2013, when this came out, they got a guy dancing like TikTok in a fucking mask. Now we've got Osama bin Laden on a boat. Look, there's oil derricks. Okay, so the camera is panning down from this Antarctica scene, and they're going into the underground. But above the ground, way off in the distance, you can see an oil derrick. So the camera zoomed way down, and within this underground cave thing, it's like a child. From what I get of this, it's a child or something, but we've got a snake, what looks like a snake, gripped around what looks like a giant sperm cell. And then to the side of that, we got what looks like an evil hand, maybe doing something with the head on the child. I mean, is this creation? Is this creating something? But there's a giant TV screen with a lizard eyeball on it that is obviously connected to the hand coming out of the ground doing what it's doing. Now we got a scene with a really twitchy Jesus. Oh no, that's not yet. Okay, so we got this computer screen again with this evil looking guy who has an earring on. So I don't know if this is like he's cutting, and so it's a screen with an evil guy on it, and the screen's connected to a cord, and that cord is coming out of the cracked open head of like a child. And I just noticed this little triangle thing on this evil guy. It might be kind of hard to see on the screen, but if you watch this video in full quality, his chin, it's like an upside down pyramid, but it's the same pyramid that's on the back of our money. And he looks like he's taunting the child. The child whose head... Oh, damn it, that was the climax part. We just, in 1 second, flashed past the best part. So this evil TV screen guy coming out of the head of this child-looking thing, I guess. He's taunting him. Let me mute it for a second. Okay, he's taunting him. And then it flashes over to the kid. This is the craziest part. This is what, in my opinion, is the craziest part of all of this shit. And this is where it requires people to do their own research, kind of. Do it on your own, not right now, but later, whenever you have the time. All you need to do for this is a couple Google search. Well, you could just do one Google search and then just look through the results. That's all you need for this. So... we're in this scene that I described. The evil TV screen guy is taunting the kid whose head he's coming out of. The camera zooms kind of in on this kid's face. And on the kid's face, there are what looks like stock market text and numbers. Have you ever seen the stereotypical image of somebody watching the stock market? There's a bunch of like company names and percentages and all this shit, but it's all on a ticker. Like it's all flashing by on a ticker over and over. So in this kid's eyes, there's like a stock market readings flashing through his eyes, if that makes sense. But I had to pause this and like pause over and over and over forever to be able to read what it's saying in the kid's eyes. But if you didn't do that, if you didn't pause the video and sit there and try really hard to look at it, you would never notice this. You would never even see that there's something in his eyes. Because this whole scene and everything is about 1 second. It's about 1 second of this. Very weird stuff. But I have written what was in the kid's eyes. And it is pretty eerie, I think. It is markets plunge. There's 4 words that flash by on his eyes. It is markets plunge, war, coverage, news, I believe. Let me see what I wrote in my notes here. Markets plunge, war, coverage,
and then what looks like the word news, but it gets cut off. Markets plunge, war coverage. Now, excuse me, I'm very sorry. I don't usually burp on this show. That just came out because I'm drinking all this coffee. So this kid, this markets plunge thing. What I immediately did upon seeing this is just a quick Google search for the words markets plunge. But I think it's important to remind you, more important than ever, to remind you that this video came out in 2013. It's dated right on the YouTube video. That's why I'm doing it on the show. So if they take this video down, I still have the Wrong Warp recording where we can see these parts of the video. So when you do a Google search for something like markets plunge, you're going to get stuff from like now. You're going to get stuff from as late as now and from as early as the beginning of the pandemic, right? Like 2020, shit like that. One example, you can search global stock markets already. Okay, so this was one example. When I searched market plunge, there's a ton of shit, and I'll show it to you. But I, for whatever reason, in my notes, put one example of something that popped up. And this is the Google result before you click on it. This is just the subtext in the Google search results. So one example, this is from a week ago. It says, global stock markets already reeling from intense panic over the spread of novel coronavirus. Plunged on Monday as oil prices nosedived by ... So that's just one example, but it's extremely easy to search it and look for yourself. So markets plunge. I did a bunch of searches with adding the words war coverage because that was also in the kids' eyes. But it seems like markets plunge show you a lot of the best results here. Markets plunge in uncertainty about a second term and second wave. Stock market investors are braced for a bumpy ride this week, blah, blah, blah. That's from October 2020. From July 2021. Financial markets have been showing signs of increased concerns for a while, but the U.S. stock market had remained blah, 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 blah. Delta variant fears prompt stock markets to plunge. Bam, there we go right there. That's perfect. That's from NPR. Do you know of NPR? I think it stands for National Public Radio or some shit like that. NPR, Delta variant fears prompt stock markets to plunge. So we've got a video in 2013 that has this like very sad and fucked up looking kid whose head's all fucked up. He's been manipulated and now his eyes are reading things such as markets plunge. And now, 8 years later, when I search for something so simple and so vague as markets plunge, everything I pull up is about the pandemic. Why? For what? Why? I mean, it's very fucking bizarre to me, dude. Very fucking bizarre to me. But please, 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 send me in what you find of this from doing these Google searches. Whether you search for markets plunge, war coverage, news, anything you find with this stuff, please send it to me and we'll play it on the show. I really think that there's a pattern here that's so obvious that it could almost be undeniable. Like you might almost be able to show stuff like this to normies and they can't deny it, right? So if you find any good results, please send them on over to ketsuban@thewrongwarp.com. But alas, we must continue with this video today on The Wrong Warp. It's just a lot of disturbing stuff. I don't want to narrate every single little thing here, but it's just a lot of disturbing stuff. So the scene right now, it's a girl waving a white flag. She looks like she's ready for war or something, but this gigantic flag that she's waving is white. and there are these very evil looking tanks coming towards her that are one-eyed and black, and they have scary monster teeth, but they're tanks. And they are approaching her as she's waving this white flag. And waving the white flag reminds me of the stereotypical stuff from the 70s or 80s, or whenever that was, where there would be hippies and it would say, make love, not war. Like, you know that supposedly iconic photo of the girl putting the flower in the guy's gun barrel? And then there's one thing it reminds me of. What is it? Tiananmen Square? Is that what it is? Tiananmen Square? Where the guy stood there to fight all the tanks or whatever the fuck it was. That's what this reminds me of. So the girl's waving the white flag at the tanks. Someone, a skeleton hand taps her on her shoulder. She turns around and it's like death. It's like this skeleton looking guy who's like a happy businessman, but he looks like death. He looks like a skeletal version of the Grim Reaper or something. So he taps her, she turns around, and it's him standing there. And then this is what's so weird. She looks down in shame. She turns around, sees it's the death guy. He blows a party whistle. You know the things for parties? It's like a party favor. You blow it and it stretches out and it goes... I forget what those are called. He blows one of those and then she looks down in shame. Very weird. And now we're back. Now we're back to Twitchy Jesus. What we've got here, you know the stereotypical thing where the guy, Egyptian thing, I think, where the guy's riding the boat after death into the afterlife, whatever. So it's Jesus riding the boat, and Jesus has a third eye, and he won't stop twitching. Everything keeps panning back to that. And now we switch to the boy whose head was cracked open with the Market's Plunge thing. Now he's got his head fixed, and the evil screen guy is like repairing his head. Now we've got, I don't think that's Ganesh. I think it was probably Shiva, but maybe it was God. No, it wasn't an elephant. Anyway, moving on. So go check this video out. I'll jump forward a little bit with it, see if there's anything major. There's the death guy. He's back conducting. He's clearly controlling your children. And then oh my God, dude. Do I see a clear fucking homage to Crater Earth here? Maybe not. Maybe so, maybe not. But it's the death guy with the wand being a conductor, like music. What is it called? Like classical music, you know, there'll be the conductor guy with the wand. He's doing that, and there's a child who's spinning and dancing like a puppet or something. Behind him is the moon, I guess, but that really reminds me of the Crater Earth thing. Crater Earth, which you should definitely look into, is this idea that the moon is a reflection of our crater that we live in and all this crazy fucking stuff. But I definitely did not notice that eerily Crater Earth looking moon the first few times I watched this. Oh yeah, and I'm going to skip ahead, see if there's anything good. It's a great video. It's just long. No real point in watching it here and describing everything all the way till the end. So the ending now, we've got Third Eye Jesus still in his boat that has like a Anubis head on the front, and he's coming out of Antarctica. It looks like he's exiting Antarctica. And I'm thinking the whole Antarctica thing is maybe a metaphor for like trials or tribulations. I don't know. But it's Third Eye Jesus on this Egyptian death boat, exiting Antarctica. And as he exits, remember we just saw the moon with that kid. The guy was controlling the kid and there was a huge moon. So now as this Third Eye Jesus exits Antarctica in the Egyptian boat thing, the sun is huge and it keeps getting brighter and more intense. And way far off in the distance, really tiny, there are the Egyptian pyramids. And the music is fading, and the sun's radiating. I think that's it. Yeah, that's how it ends. So, crazy fucking video. Definitely go check it out on your own if you want to. The title on YouTube is CGI 3D Animated Short I Pet Goat 2 by Helio Font. If anybody at all has any fucking reasonable explanation as to why or how that could have come out in 2013. And, the connections with 9/11 and everything. Why? How? Is there anybody out there who still thinks that stuff like this is merely coincidence? Morgan says, Hangman says, evolution. Okay, so I think in the beginning of that video, they were in the school classroom, in the 3D video, of course, and there was Hangman being played on the chalkboard, and I didn't notice it, but Morgan says that it says evolution. That's interesting. I wonder why. I wonder what the symbolism is there. I don't think evolution is true, to be honest with you. I think it's an explanation as to what happened and how we got here, but I don't think it is that way. I honestly, from all my fucking travels or whatever, not literal travels, but, like my mind travels, I have seen, it seems a lot more like we live in some type of template, maybe, like this. I don't want to call Earth. I don't know if it would really be Earth, but Earth or the realm or whatever you want to call wherever we live, it seems like some kind of template. Look into resets. If you've never looked into resets, it seems like resets have just happened over and over and over and over. And all of this shit's just been reused and reused and reused and reused. And for that reason, I think that we kind of had to have just been put here. Yeah. I like that. I think I can stand by that. That in some way we were just put here and then given these explanations and we just go off of them. We just believe them. We go, okay. Morgan specifies in the chat with the evolution stuff, evolution. So, the word breakdowns here. So we'll take the word evil, the first 4 letters in evolution, EVOL, evil, and then loosh. If you're unfamiliar with loosh is like your energy or your chi. There's a lot of great words for it, but loosh is one that everybody can all agree on. So evil, loosh, ion. I forget ion. Ion is like a science-y term, but it was in some word breakdown that I did on Twitter. Ion is an atom or molecule with a net electric charge due to the loss or gain of one or more electrons. I think there was a better definition, though. Ion, forming nouns denoting verbal action. No, that's like the literal English definition.
Ion.
The charge of the electron. Okay, yeah, because everything's electricity. We are electricity, right? An ion is a particle, atom, or molecule with a net electric charge. So we are ions. We all carry an electric charge, like the fucking spark of consciousness, the spark of life. This consciousness that we all share, that's what makes us us, rather than robots or rather than fucking NPCs. It is that spark of consciousness. So an ion is a particle, atom, or molecule with a net electrical charge. The charge of the electron is considered negative by convention. Pretty good stuff. So evil, loosh, ion, right? Evolution. In a way, it's just them telling you that it's a scam, right? It's revolution of the method rearing its ugly head again. Evolution. I don't know, man. I want to think of a realistic timeline of how long I think we've really been here, but it's really hard because of everybody's parents. Everybody's parents remember living in the 60s and the 70s and all this other shit. Morgan says they teach evolution in school. Yeah, they do. And, there's this big fight. It's almost like teaching the God thing or the Big Bang thing. It's almost like that exists solely to make evolution look like a better explanation, right? or at least I know in if you're looking at like Christianity for instance, you know, like the separation of church and state and all this shit. If you look at the Christianity and stuff, in Christianity there is a God. So in Christianity there is a reason that you shouldn't be a piece of shit and fuck people over and be evil and get all this money and stuff. But in evolution there's not. In evolution, we're just put here with no explanation. Evolution, in a lot of ways, is almost like an equalizer, right? And so a lot of people lean towards evolution. It's pretty fucking wild to me. I would go as far as to say that most people just haven't looked into it enough to care. You know, and the same could be said about mostly anything. Mostly anything just hasn't been looked into enough. But I remember when I was a kid, evolution being a hot topic. Boy, it was, they weren't talking about it like this. When I was little, evolution was some controversial ass shit. And I remember evolution being effectively proven and all this stuff. And I guess this is going to be kind of my way of bringing everything back full circle. Full circle back to the very beginning of the show. When we talked about how the way I see it with a lot of the science stuff is they're given the answer and then they're told to just go prove that answer. So the same things had to be there with evolution, right? Go prove why we evolved. That's, to me, it's almost like they were just operating based on that premise alone. But yeah, I don't buy the evolution thing, man, that we came from apes. That's fucking nuts. It just is. And I know I always say that, hey, I don't know anything, and neither does anybody else. Well, I think I can say that any of the explanations that are just given, that are just handed to us, probably aren't real. They probably aren't true. I would think, and I think Sammy Kelly, when we had him on, he also told me, you know, that anything of value, any answer of value, any true good conclusion, you have to find it yourself. You must go do the work. Nothing is given to you. And yeah, I think I can attest to that being true in my own personal experience. Anything good that I've ever learned, I had to go learn it myself and put the work in and all this shit. And the conclusion that I learn is always the same as the obvious thing that was told to you at the beginning. I hope that makes sense. But that's I see kind of a trap with spirituality anymore. And it's like the spirituality stuff is good, but what a lot of it turns into when it gets boiled down to is just excuses for being a piece of shit, right? I see a lot of great people within spirituality. You know, they can justify. This is just what I see in my personal experience. I see people being able to justify, for lack of a better word, shittiness based on spirituality stuff. Like, nothing's real. None of this is real anyway. So why try to be a good person? Why care about people and be nice to people when none of this is real anyway? And I think the pandemic and COVID and stuff hasn't helped, because there's a version out there now of what we call normie. There's a version of what we would refer to as a normie. And I think we could all probably agree that if you don't see a lot of this stuff, you're kind of a dipshit. I agree with that, but I would say that it's extremely important to be nice, to treat people nice, and you shouldn't see them as a dipshit. I shouldn't agree with that. That's not how you should think. We should be nicer. And like, for example, say you see someone who's a normie and they're totally tricked. They're vaxxed up, they're masked up, they believe all this stupid shit. When you see that person, you shouldn't hate them. You shouldn't see them and think, what a retard. No, you should see them and think, oh my God. You know, they don't see what's going on. They don't see that they're being manipulated. And I hate saying stuff like that because I don't want it to come off as though I'm trying to talk from a place above anyone. I'm not. I'm not better than you or anyone else. Period. I'm just not. But I can see that I've been manipulated a lot in the past. I'll get manipulated again too, trust me. And so will you. That's just how this place seems to work. But that being said, you gotta fucking be nice to people, dude. The most important people that you should be being nice to are the people who don't deserve it, or the people who you don't think deserve it. And I think it was when we had Dave J on. I think it was him when I said that. He pointed out that you shouldn't be the person determining whether or not anybody deserves anything. And I gotta say, that's so true. That's so right. And that's a great fucking point. Who am I to be the judge of what anybody deserves, right? I mean, that's fucking nonsense. Who are you to be the judge of what anybody deserves? It's pretty fucking crazy to me. So, I don't know. My point here is just be nice to people. Do everything in your power to not get the bug where you get this kind of superiority complex type of thing. Because it's bad. It really is. Thinking you're better than other people. And no, I really don't think there's anybody who's just going to say that to you. Maybe there are, but I haven't really met them. I don't think most people are just going to say to you, hey, I'm better than you. You know, but they sure think it. And they're sure going to do a lot of things that imply that, right? I think so. But with all that being said, I think that's pretty good. I think that's it for our show here today on The Wrong Warp. Oh no, stop it. So thank you for coming out here today. Like I said earlier, we had a very raunchy is the best word to describe it, Minus World episode a couple days ago. So look out for that. It's actually pretty wholesome. If you're a fan of The Wrong Warp, you will fucking love that episode. Remember, the Minus World, it's $8 a month. Just get it once. Just get it once and check it out. And if it's terrible and not worth your money, just cancel it. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But just get it once. Give it a chance. Just give it a chance once. And if it turns out that that it's not worth it, then just cancel it. It's all good. But definitely check out that episode if you're a huge fan of the show. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for being you. Also, when you join the Minus World over at buymeacoffee.com/thewrongwarp, you get access to the Minus World Discord. That's where we hang out all fucking week. All day, all week. The craziness doesn't have to stop if you don't want it to. So check out that Minus World. Buymeacoffee.com/thewrongwarp. Thank you for listening. I fucking love you, and I hope you have a great week this week.
Just to speak my thoughts, I am very far away. I am all on my own. Take me to the promised land, hold me there. I am very far away. I am all on my own. Take me to the promised land, hold me there. I am very far away. I am all on my own. Take me to the promised land. Hold me there. Da 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 da.